Standing calmly near the moss-covered stump, the hind's posture is relaxed yet attentive.
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the nuthatch meticulously probes the bark crevices, searching for insects and seeds hidden within. The European badger, a creature of the dense Eastern European woods, emerges at dusk, its nose meticulously.
Moving briskly between the fallen branches, the great tit exemplifies efficiency. It pauses, using its...
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, we find the European ground beetle, a solitary hunter of the forest floor.
A ground-level view reveals the world of the European common vole, moving in short, deliberate bursts along a mossy run beneath the shrubs.
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the European adder rests motionless, its markings blending seamlessly with the sun-dappled leaves.
The doe pauses, lifting her head to listen intently to the sounds of the ancient wood. Every sense is a...
Here in the undisturbed wilderness, the European forest snail begins its slow, rhythmic journey across the moisture-darkened moss.
The European sparrowhawk, a master of the forest corridor, glides effortlessly through the sun-dappled temperate woods of Eastern Europe. The red fox moves almost silently through the forest margin, its senses alert to every sound in the undergrowth.
Emerging slowly from the damp leaf litter, the European forest snail begins its methodical journey across the forest.
Gliding effortlessly on the rising currents, the buzzard surveys its territory along the forest edge, a timeless presence in this ancient wood.
Utilizing its keen senses and remarkable agility, this small predator navigates the complex terrain of the forest floor.
Stepping lightly through the shaded corridor, the roebuck moves with silent instinct. In the quiet calm of the Eastern European forest, this common lizard soaks up the sun's energy, its body slowly warming amidst the leaf litter.
The European robin, small but resilient, meticulously searches the forest floor for insects among the leaf litter.
Though outwardly calm, the hind is constantly alert. Her rotating ears capture the distant sounds of the wind.
Moving through the undergrowth, the vole pauses briefly, listening intently before continuing its journey across the forest floor. Moving slowly through the dense undergrowth, the boar uses its powerful snout to root for food hidden beneath the forest floor. In this untouched Eastern European wilderness, the vibrant bullfinch remains still, patiently scanning the forest floor of its temperate habitat. Here in the temperate forest, the snail begins its slow journey across the rain-darkened bark, its shell glistening in the filtered sunlight. The European ground beetle navigates a micro-landscape of roots and moist soil, its antennae probing cautiously. Deep within this Eastern European forest habitat, the roe deer doe pauses, lifting her head to scent the air for any sign of danger.
Often mistaken for a snake, the slow worm is actually a legless lizard. It spends much of its time motionless.
A quiet moment in the Eastern European wilderness. The hind, relaxed but vigilant, listens.
The European harvest mouse, one of the smallest mammals, navigates its grassy home with surprising agility.
Perched alertly on a low branch, the male redstart surveys his territory. The rapid flicking of his bright orange tail is a signature display. Beneath the damp bark of the forest floor, the woodlouse begins its slow, rhythmic journey, a crucial component of this rich ecosystem. In the quiet calm of the temperate forest, the hind relies on her acute hearing.
Deep within the leaf litter and alder roots, the field vole navigates its subterranean highway, its whiskers sensing the damp soil edges.
Standing motionless, the hind scans the dense woodland, her ears rotating independently towards distant sounds.
The European forest slug moves with a mesmerizing, wave-like motion across the damp forest floor. Deep in the Eastern European temperate forest, the willow tit remains vigilant. Its head turns shoots.
With a keen sense of smell, the European wild boar navigates the dense undergrowth. Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the common kestrel glides through the canopy. Its wings adjust.
The European common shrew moves rapidly through a narrow tunnel of leaves beneath the hazel roots.
Positions. Here in the tranquil canopy of the Eastern European forest, the male chaffinch scans the undergrowth. Its cooing fox. The European red fox, an elusive predator, patrols the shaded margins of the woods, utilizing its
The European millipede moves with a mesmerizing rhythm across the forest floor, its countless legs propelling it forward. Here in the quiet, temperate forest, the snail begins its slow journey across the leaf litter, its shell glistening in the filtered light. In the quiet, temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the buck pauses, lifting his head to listen intently before continuing his journey along the ridge.
In the dense temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the sparrowhawk navigates the trees with breathtaking precision.
the Tatman. Deep within this undisturbed Eastern European wilderness, the European common frog remains perfectly still.
In the quiet calm of the Eastern European temperate forest, the ground beetle begins its slow journey across the exposed roots. The European roe deer, a graceful inhabitant of these ancient Eastern European forests, moves with silent precision. The European song thrush moves deliberately across the forest floor. These short pauses are crucial as
In the serene Eastern European temperate forest, the red deer hind remains alert, her ears constantly.
Resting motionless on the forest floor, the European grass frog blends seamlessly with the damp leaves.
Across the damp leaf litter of this ancient Eastern European forest floor races the elusive pygmy shrew, a tiny dynamo of constant motion. The European robin, often solitary, navigates the forest floor, pausing frequently to listen for the slightest movement beneath the leaves. The European grey wolf moves silently through its ancient domain, a shadow among the trees, its movements controlled and deliberate. Here in the tranquil forests of Eastern Europe, the red deer hind stands attentive, listening intently to the distant woodland sounds. The great spotted woodpecker, common throughout Eastern Europe, relies heavily on the birch tree. Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the field vole utilizes these narrow corridors, moving cautiously through the dew-coated stems. The European forest snail begins its journey across the damp forest floor. Its movements are slow and deliberate. The European wild boar moves deliberately across the shaded forest floor, its powerful snout
With its distinctive forked tail adjusting subtly to the air currents, the European red kite glides smoothly.
Perched calmly on a low branch, the green woodpecker surveys the ground below, its keen eyesight searching for the subtle movements of insects among the moss. In the quiet undergrowth of this ancient Eastern European forest, life moves at a different pace. With its antennae extended, the snail navigates the rich textures of the forest floor, a journey measured in millimeters per minute. This dense, temperate forest in Eastern Europe provides sanctuary. Here, the roe deer steps lightly.
The European buzzard, master of the thermals, circles effortlessly above the ancient forests of Eastern Europe.
Perfectly camouflaged against the leaf litter, the European sand lizard remains motionless, absorbing the midday heat before the hunt begins. Beneath the damp bark of this untouched wilderness, the segmented body of the centipede moves with mesmerizing precision.
Moving across the leaf litter, the blackbird pauses, its sensitive attuned to the slightest
In the quiet calm of the temperate forest, the roe deer buck moves deliberately, pausing briefly to listen before continuing across the damp leaf litter.
In the quiet calm of the Eastern European forest, the hind stands alert, listening to the subtle sounds of the wilderness around her.
Though it appears still, the subtle rhythm of breathing is visible in the flanks of this bronze-colored reptile.
The European woodmouse navigates the forest floor with extreme caution, its agile body moving in short.
Here, in the quiet heart of the Eastern European forest, the brown bear begins its daily patrol. Its movements are slow and deliberate.
The European red deer hind, though seemingly calm, remains constantly attentive to the subtle sounds of the Eastern European forest.
The woodpecker grips the bark securely, using its tail for balance. It tilts its head, listening intently.
The European hazel dormouse moves with careful precision along the bramble stems, its tiny paws gripping tight.
Deep in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, a mother brown bear guides her cub through the dense undergrowth.
Emerging from the damp moss, the European forest slug begins its journey. Its body moves in smooth, rhythmic waves.
The European lesser spotted eagle, a symbol of these untouched Eastern European woods, rides the air currents above the dense canopy. Perched high on a conifer branch, the nutcracker surveys the dense forest below, searching for its primary food source, conifer seeds.
In the quiet solitude of the ancient woods, the European bark beetle begins its slow journey across the textured landscape of the pine trunk.
As the soil softens, the earthworm, vital engineer of this ecosystem, slowly emerges from the damp earth to begin its work.
In the dense temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the European roe deer navigates the leaf litter with silent precision.
Gliding effortlessly above the Eastern European forest canopy, the osprey transitions to the open water, its gaze fixed intently on the depths below.
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the yellow-bellied toad relies on camouflage.
Deep within this Eastern European forest habitat, the European glowworm larva navigates the moist soil. The European chiffchaff prefers the dense undergrowth of these temperate forests, constantly moving as if the European roe deer, Capreolus capreolus, steps lightly through the dense undergrowth of this ancient Eastern European forest. The European common viper, or Vipera berus, emerges from the cool undergrowth to bask in the filters. Standing quietly in a shaded glade, the hind uses her rotating ears to scan for distant woodland sounds.
The European harvest mouse, one of the smallest rodents on the continent, navigates its grassy home with surprising agility.
The sharp, rhythmic drumming of the great spotted woodpecker echoes through the dense Eastern European forest.
In the dense forests of Eastern Europe, the badger moves deliberately along ancient scent trails. Its nose.
The European red deer hind remains vigilant, her ears constantly scanning the dense Eastern European forest for the slightest disturbance.
Here in the dense forests of Eastern Europe, the European mole begins its nightly foraging.
The male European bullfinch, easily identified by his vibrant rosy breast and distinctive black cap, sits.
Life in the temperate forest moves at a different pace. Here, the snail cautiously explores its...
Here in the Eastern European wilderness, the grey wolf pads silently along a shaded ridge, an undisputed master of this ancient forest habitat.
Gliding silently over the dense canopy, the buzzard utilizes the warm air rising from the sprawling Eastern European wilderness.
Alert and vigilant, the jay surveys the forest floor below, its vibrant blue markings catching the soft daylight filtering through the canopy.
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the ground spider moves with deliberate caution across the moisture-darkened bark. In the quiet canopy of the Eastern European forest, life moves at a different pace. Here, moving through the shaded slopes of the Eastern European forest, the roe deer pauses, lifting her head to scent the air. Basking quietly on the sun-warmed leaf litter, the European common lizard absorbs the heat, a crucial behavior for these reptiles in the dense forest environment. Here in the Eastern European wetlands, the marsh harrier patrols the boundary, its wings steady against the gentle breeze. Deep within the quiet Eastern European forest, the European stag beetle begins its laborious ascent from the decay.
Here in the dense temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the male European puston. In this dense, wildlife-rich habitat, the sunlight filters through the ancient beech trees.
Deep within this Eastern European forest habitat, the alpine newt remains perfectly still among the wet leaves of a shaded seep.
Moving in careful bursts, the vole pauses frequently, listening intently for the faintest sound in this quiet forest habitat.
Here in the quiet temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the pine marten moves silently, its whiskers flicking as it samples
enters. In the quiet forests of Eastern Europe, the red deer hind relies on acute senses. Her ears swivel. The European crested tit, often found in the dense coniferous forests of Eastern Europe, is a picture of tranquility.
Moving carefully through the damp leaves, the hedgehog pauses frequently to sniff the air, alert to the sounds of the undisturbed forest.
The moisture-rich environment is crucial for the snail's survival, as it cautiously extends its antennae to navigate the forest floor. With a gentle push from the stream bed, the otter surfaces. Wet fur glistening in the dappled light, it takes a moment to assess the quiet surroundings. The European honey buzzard, Pernis apivorus, glides effortlessly along the forest edge, riding the warm thermals rising from the canopy below.
The European grey wagtail thrives along fast-flowing forest streams. Its distinctive tail bobbing is a
Navigating the micro-landscape of the forest floor, the woodlouse flexes its segmented body, moving with surprising...
The European forest leech moves with a distinctive muscular wave, utilizing the moisture on the forest floor to propel itself forward.
Moving lightly through this ancient woodland corridor, the buck navigates the dappled light, its senses alert to the subtle shifts in the forest breeze. The European kingfisher, a flash of vibrant blue and orange, navigates the shaded streams of Eastern Europe with incredible speed. In the quiet calm of this ancient Eastern European forest, life moves at a different pace.
Moving with caution, the dunnock pauses frequently, listening intently for the slightest sign of danger amidst the dense, temperate forest habitat. The European roe deer steps lightly across the damp forest floor, pausing briefly to listen, attuned to the subtle sounds of the wilderness.
Beneath the canopy, the tiny harvest mouse navigates a labyrinth of flattened grasses, its whiskers testing the air.
This tiny European freshwater amphipod navigates a world of giants. Its translucent body moves slowly over the
tour. Sheltered beneath the canopy in this rich temperate forest, the European alpine salamander remains.
Here in the undisturbed wilderness of the Eastern European forest, the male European pied flycatcher,
gliding high above the canopy, the European white-tailed eagle surveys its domain, a landscape shaped by centuries of natural growth. Moving slowly and cautiously, the beetle uses its antennae to navigate the moisture-darkened terrain.
The European common frog relies on stillness and remarkable camouflage to blend seamlessly with the wet leaves of the forest floor.
With delicate precision, the doe navigates the uneven terrain, lifting her head momentarily to scent the air currents filtering through the canopy above. Here in the untouched temperate forests, the elusive European sparrowhawk hunts among the tall trunks, a vital part of this rich ecosystem.
The European pied wagtail moves quickly across the forest floor, its tail bobbing rhythmically.
Moving with deliberate caution, the badger sniffs the rich earth of the forest trail, following invisible scent markers left by others.
Though seemingly tranquil, the ancient forests of Eastern Europe demand constant vigilance. The hind
Here in the tranquil Eastern European woods, the nuthatch pauses its descent only briefly to probe the bark for a meal.
Relying on its sensitive whiskers, the water shrew navigates the shallow waters, its sleek body perfectly adapted for both land and aquatic movement. Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the arrival of moisture signals movement for the Roman snail. Deep within the ancient temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the wild boar moves with a quiet, deliberate purpose.
High above the Eastern European canopy, the common buzzard utilizes rising thermals, its broad wings catching the currents with effortless grace.
Perched high above the forest floor, the hawfinch scans the undergrowth. Its
Here in the quiet, temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the European ground beetle moves slowly across the damp bark. In this dense, temperate forest, the slug begins its slow, methodical journey, propelled by waves of muscular contraction. Here in the tranquil forests of Eastern Europe, the roe deer moves cautiously, pausing often to test the air for any sign of disturbance. Here in the ancient forests of Eastern Europe, the goshawk moves like a shadow between the towering trunks, a silent hunter in a wild landscape. In the quiet stillness of this Eastern European temperate forest, the smooth newt rests, its glistening.
Deep within the temperate forest, soft sunlight illuminates a hidden world. The European ground spider emerges.
Moving through the shaded hollows of the Eastern European forest, the buck treads softly on the damp leaf litter. In the quiet solitude of the temperate forest, the hind listens intently, its ears rotating slowly towards distant woodland sounds. Deep within this temperate Eastern European forest, sunlight filters through the canopy, warming the leaf litter. Deep within this ancient Eastern European forest habitat,
watch how this tiny bird pulses with life, rapidly hopping from branch to branch, an incessant motion rarely pausing for long.
Here in the dense forests of Eastern Europe, the lynx walks without sound, a silent hunter in an undisturbed world. The tranquility of this Eastern European forest is unbroken, yet the hind remains alert, her ears independent
for attempt. The European jay navigates the dense forest floor, its striking blue wing feathers visible as it shifts position.
Deep in this undisturbed Eastern European wilderness, the common shrew threads rapidly through the roots, pausing briefly to listen for danger.
Deep within this ancient Eastern European woodland, the forest snail navigates the terrain. Sensing a sudden moving quietly along a fallen log, the marten pauses, its whiskers flicking as it samples the air for signs of prey or danger. The European red kite, a magnificent raptor, thrives in the ancient woodlands of Eastern Europe.
In the quiet calm of this Eastern European wilderness, the greenfinch relies on its sharp eyesight to spot the seeds that make up its diet.
Pausing briefly on the moss-covered bark, the snail assesses its path before continuing its slow journey through the dense, undisturbed forest. The European ground centipede, a creature of the damp forest floor, begins its retreat beneath the shelter of the fallen leaves.
The roe deer moves cautiously along the ridge, his hooves soft on the dry leaves.
Gliding smoothly over the untouched wilderness of Eastern Europe, the common buzzard surveys its domain from above the trees. The European adder, or Vipera berus, is Eastern Europe's only venomous snake. Deep within this undisturbed Eastern European wilderness, the European rove beetle moves swiftly across the moist soil, a vital part of the forest ecosystem.
Poach house. In the quiet calm of this ancient Eastern European wood, the long-tailed tit moves with swift bursts.
In this pristine Eastern European wilderness, the European roe deer moves with quiet deliberation.
Standing quietly among the ancient oaks, the hind relies on her hearing, rotating her ears to catch distant woodland sounds. Basking motionless on the sun-warmed leaf litter, the European common lizard absorbs the heat vital for its survival in this Eastern European forest habitat. Moving along the decaying log, the robin pauses frequently, its alert senses listening for the subtle movements of insects on the forest floor.
In the quiet forests of Eastern Europe, the elusive garden dormouse begins its nightly forage, always alert to the dangers that lurk in the shadows.
In the dense temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the brown bear navigates the slopes, its head low. The European red deer, hind, stands still, its ears rotating slowly, listening to the
Perched calmly on a conifer branch, the European crossbill surveys its Eastern European habitat.
Moving cautiously through the moss-covered stones, the European field mouse uses the narrow corridor for cover.
In the quietude of this ancient Eastern European forest, the European forest snail begins its slow
Moving almost silently through the dense Eastern European forest, the red fox relies on its acute hearing.
The European honey buzzard is a master of the air currents, using thermals rising from the forest floor to gain altitude with minimal effort.
Perched high above the forest floor, the European siskin remains vigilant, its head turning sharply as it scans the undergrowth for any sign of movement.
The European click beetle, finding itself momentarily vulnerable, employs its unique defense mechanism, a sudden
Moving with cautious rhythm, the snail extends its antennae, sensing the rich, moist environment of the forest floor.
Moving silently across the leaf litter, the doe pauses briefly, testing the air for any sign of intrusion in her tranquil forest home. The European sparrowhawk relies on stealth, gliding silently through the dense canopy of this ancient Eastern European forest.
Here in the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, sunlight filters through the canopy onto the forest floor.
Deep within the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, a European ground beetle emerges. Its iridescent.
Deep within the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the roe deer moves with quiet deliberation, pausing often to sample the air currents for danger.
Sheltered beneath the canopy of this Eastern European forest, the common toad remains perfectly still, its textured skin blending seamlessly with the earth.
In the quiet calm of the Eastern European woodlands, the red deer hind remains vigilant, her senses alert to...
Deep within the temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the elusive yellow-necked mouse begins its nightly foraging, moving cautiously through the undisturbed undergrowth.
Here in the ancient forests of Eastern Europe, the European tree creeper begins its daily ascent, meticulously searching the bark for insects.
The European grey wolf moves with silent, fluid grace along the ridge, its paws finding purchase on the leaf litter without making a sound. In the quiet, temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the hind relies on her acute hearing, listening intently to the distant woodland sounds.
In the quiet clearings of this temperate forest, the marsh tit remains vigilant, its sharp eyes glowing.
Along the ancient roots of this temperate forest, the wood mouse advances cautiously.
Here in the quiet wilderness of the Eastern European forest, the snail emerges, moving with a rhythm all its own across the damp ferns.
Deep within the Eastern European temperate forest, the brown bear follows an ancient path. Its massive The European black stork, a magnificent yet elusive bird, glides effortlessly above the ancient
Perched calmly on this slender branch, the brambling scans the forest floor below. Its distinctive plume.
The European wood ant moves with precision, its antennae constantly sampling the resin-scented bark of the pine tree.
The European forest snail, or Helix pomatia, begins its slow journey across the damp forest floor. Moving with silent precision, the roe deer navigates the forest floor, its senses alert to every sound.
Utilizing the rising air currents, the European booted eagle adjusts its wings subtly, maintaining a calm, steady glide above the dense canopy.
Resting on the forest floor, the European fire salamander is a striking sight amidst the damp leaves.
Soil of its Eastern European habitat.
Deep within the undisturbed wilderness of the Eastern European forest, the woodlouse plays a vital role, slowly turning decaying matter into rich soil.
Small and agile, the coal tit.
The European roe deer moves with silent deliberation across the forest floor, pausing briefly to test the air currents filtering through the canopy.
Deep within the Eastern European forest, the red deer hind stands alert. Dappled sunlight.
Here in the shaded woodlands of Eastern Europe, the European agile frog rests motionless among the wet leaves.
Using its prehensile tail for balance, the dormouse navigates the complex terrain of the forest floor, an undisturbed wilderness rich in life. Characterized by its pale plumage and upright stance, the missel thrush navigates the forest floor, pausing often to listen for movement beneath the leaves. The European river otter, a shy resident of these Eastern European forests, slips silently beneath the surface, leaving barely a trace.
Standing quietly among the birch trees, this European red deer hind is relaxed, yet her ears rotate constantly. Deep within the undisturbed wilderness, the grey heron waits patiently by the water's edge, perfectly adapted to these calm surroundings.
Following the intricate paths carved into the forest floor, the European common vole advances in short, careful bursts through the damp moss and grass. Here in the quiet, temperate forests of Eastern Europe, the remarkable forest leech begins its slow journey across the damp earth.
Moving silently along the shaded slope, the European lynx uses the dappled light to conceal its approach,